The title of this message is A Radical Way of Love, and it comes from Luke chapter 6, verses 27 to 36. I'll begin by relating a story of a 24-year-old young man named Chris in our church who just days ago was beaten to death by a neighbor because of a dog dispute. So the question is, when you hear this kind of a news story, what's your first thing that comes to mind about what you think you'd like to do? Then I'll give examples of reactive emotions and actions at being offended or injured, and examples of conflicts that escalate, like the neighbor conflict, teen-friend conflicts, home conflicts, work conflicts. As conflict escalates, it becomes increasingly difficult to rein in our emotions and responses as we react to the conflict in our hurt and our anger. Let's take a step back then and figure out why we feel this need to escalate. Well, perhaps we feel a personal need for justice or restitution, which are noble, or maybe a need for vengeance, or perhaps we feel like we can profit from the conflict. But when we seek retribution, there are often unintended consequences. We damage our ability to influence the other party, damage to our witness of those around us, and damage to our relationships. Escalating a conflict by reacting out of anger or greed never produces satisfactory results. If escalating only produces more conflict and poor results, what are we to do? Then I'll read Luke 6, 27 to 28, which says, "Love and pray for your enemies." That's a radical concept. Jesus' words about our response to conflict, they run counterintuitive to our natural thinking. So let's take a look at this portion of Scripture and explore together Jesus' ideas of how this works. So then I'll read the rest of the portion, Luke 6, 29 to 36. And there we see Jesus addresses different kinds of offense. And we see that Jesus acknowledges his instructions, they are difficult. He also cites, Jesus does, many practical examples, and we'll translate them from then to now. And we also see Jesus revealing the what's in it for me. And Jesus isn't asking us to do anything that he hasn't done himself. When we are personally injured or offended as followers of Jesus, we should respond out of love instead of reacting out of anger. So how do we practically and realistically love our enemies? Well, we make a decision to commit to this radical new idea. And to that end, then we make a plan. We've got to have an idea of what we're going to do to make that commitment real in our life. And make a habit of asking for the Lord's help. We can't do this without him. Jesus would never ask us to do the impossible. When we are offended or hurt, we can then show the world a radical picture of love by responding to conflict in the way that Jesus teaches. So, let's practice that radical way of love.